Makens is a rural ski town community mix.
It's the type of place where, everybody knows everybody.
Mikey and Mark Anthony loved it. We would do camping, go fishing, hiking.
It's pretty cool with all the wilderness. There'll be elk running through our yard. We have 2 black bears that live up by our house.
Nature's outside the house and it didn't bother us having it out there. The boys would be safe inside the house. It was Monday morning. Boys didn't want to go to school. Typical kids, they get up, they want another day of the weekend. Everyone kind of starts out a little slow. Mikey's probably the slowest starting out. Mikey came into my life Christmas of '97. He was 5 at that time.
I met Benji through my mother, who introduced us. And then we started dating, and one thing led to another, and
July 10th of 1999, Susie and I were married. From then on, Mikey and Mark Anthony were my sons.
they all seemed to kind of hit it off right from the get-go.
It's kind of cool just having a dad and kind of having a whole new family almost.
I feel Benji has always treated the boys as if he's always been their true biological father.
It was, kind of the dream family situation. It really was.
That morning was no different from any other. I am trying to get everybody together and out the door to school on time.
My mom was telling me, Mikey, come eat, it's time to eat. And so I grabbed my socks out of the drawer and they were just folded up. So I just put them on. I just felt a little prick, like a thorn or something. And I just blew it off. And then I just went and ate breakfast. And after breakfast, I felt it again. And that's when I thought, oh man, I gotta get whatever this is out of my sock. I pulled my sock off and I saw a little red dot on my foot where I'd been pricked. Then I turned that sock inside out to get the thorn out and found the spider. It was already dead. I had squished it when I took the sock off. I kind of brushed the spider off onto the counter and look at it, and then I'm just like, this kind of looks familiar, and I turn over and I look real hard at it, and I see a little red speck underneath. I'm just like, well, maybe I got bit by a black widow. On the bottom of a black widow, it looks exactly like a red hourglass. It's pretty pronounced because it's a really black, glossy spider, and they're pretty freaky looking. I'm thinking, is it really that big of a deal? At the same time, I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm gonna be late for school if this is anything.
He told me, Mom, I just got bit by a black widow. I didn't believe him.
My mom was looking at it, and since it was squished, she couldn't see the hourglass on the bottom. She couldn't see if it really was a black widow or not.
I just immediately didn't think much of it. Started getting breakfast.
I started to feel the pain in my foot, just subtly at first, and it grew and grew. It spread up through my leg. It was excruciating pain. It felt like people stabbing knives through your leg.
Within 5 minutes, he was down on the floor, screaming in pain.
It got more intense and more and more and more. It just kept building on itself, and it was a throbbing and then like a stabbing pain.
And I said, Mikey, come on, get up. And he started crying, and that's when I realized this is a lot more serious.
My whole leg was in agony.
I can't believe a spider could do this to him.
Nature, am I right?
I was just worried about what was going to happen and how severe it really could be.
We knew we had to get him to the hospital because it was something beyond what we could deal with. We kind of kicked into survival mode and started doing what parents do for their kids.
I got a bag and put the spider in a bag, and we took off for the emergency room.
I got the other two out of there so Susie could get Mikey to the hospital. We live 8 miles from the edge of town. To the hospital's 20 minutes.
My mom was getting a lot more worried at this time because she could say that something was really happening.
He was literally almost on the floor of the car screaming that the pain had gone from his feet all the way up to his groin area.
It hurt a lot, and my mom didn't understand what that type of hurt was. It's like someone had kicked me 1,000,000 times in the crotch.
It's a horrible thing to see your son just screaming because the pain was so intense.
I remember going, man, is this really happening?
When we got to the hospital, Mikey was doubling over in pain because it was getting up into his abdomen and stomach area.
I didn't know what was going to start hurting or what they were going to do at the hospital, if they could treat it or not. I was worried about pretty much everything. They looked at it for a couple seconds, confirmed that I was a Black Widow.
And I told him, not to worry, this is going to pass. And boy, was I wrong about that.
When I arrived at the ER, Mikey was just screaming and yelling and crying and pounding his fist on his leg.
The doctor first came, she's like, well, you know, this is the first one we've ever had at this hospital. It seemed like every minute that went by, the pain was worse and worse and worse, and it just kept building on itself.
By the end of that day, you know, when the doctor finally came and had a conference with the family, he had said they'd given him enough Valium to put down an elephant, and it wasn't even phasing this kid.
They don't see many people get bit and have such a horrible reaction to it. I had a pretty severe reaction to the venom. My first night in the hospital, I didn't really sleep at all because they were still testing out different drugs on me, and I was yelling all night.
I mean, he was in serious pain.
His whole body would become saturated with sweat.
He went through 4 or 5 sets of sheets. He soaked them.
Red flags started going off. The thought of death was the big concern. I just can't believe a little spider could do this to him.
Like I said, nature, am I right?
It was like I was underwater and I couldn't swim to the top. I kept trying, but you're just stuck underwater. That's what it felt like with all the pain bearing down on me.
It just seemed like it was just getting worse.
The neurotoxins, basically, if this is your nerve, they grab on to the nerve and start squeezing and can destroy the nerves. And one of the ways to release these is to inject him with antivenom.
The doctor had said poison control is telling us we should administer this stuff to him.
He presented us with an antivenom that is developed here in the United States.
Learning the potential side effects as to what it could do.
There are a couple side effects. One, he could go into cardiac arrest immediately from it. He could have serum sickness throughout the rest of his life. And it may not 100% alleviate getting rid of all the neurotoxins that the spider injected into him.
That's where he could be killed.
I looked at Susie and I said, there's no way if something can cure him, but it can also kill him, that we're going to give it to our kid. And it was at that point that we had come across the information about the U.S. military having antivenom for black widow spider bites that was out of Mexico. From what we could find out, it had no side effects. There was one problem with the Mexican antivenom. It's not approved by the FDA, and therefore it's not available in the United States. We talked to every place that we could think of, trying to find a glitch to get it through the FDA.
I remember people saying, well, you might as well just give it up. It can't be done.
By this time it's Thursday, and I had 4 hours of sleep.
I was thinking, maybe we should just give him the stuff here because this other stuff's not coming in. And I think a lot of people were starting to feel that.
One of the things that the doctor had told us that we didn't realize, we were basically fighting the clock. We had 7 days to get this to Mikey, and after that 7 days is up, permanent nerve damage. We're running out of time. We're into Friday, the last leg. We got to get it into him by Sunday. He says, we'll meet you in the airport on Saturday with 5 miles. But there's a catch. And I was like, oh God, what's the catch now? He goes, they're going to charge you $500 for it. I was like, was that all?
Told me, we found some vials. I'm going to have to go to Mexico to get them.
It just happened so fast. I think it was within 1 or 2 hours it was decided that Benji was going to catch the next flight out, meet the people in the airport, and then turn around and come back that same day.
The hospital had called us into a private meeting, and they tell us point blank, number one, it's an illegal substance in our country. Number two, we could lose our nursing license because of it. We will not let you bring this Mexican antivenom, even if you get it, into this hospital. To hear someone say that, it just blows you away. We're running out of options and time. I went and posed the question if he would accept giving this to Mikey if we got the antivenom into the country. He's going against hospital policy. He's going against what they told him he couldn't do. He said, you get it to me, I'll give it to him. And I headed out. Now the real struggle to get the drug into the country began. There was definitely a serious timeline that we were fighting against to get this stuff. The longer it goes without this antivenom, the less likelihood the antivenom's going to work. The worst case goes through your mind. One of the stakes was that he could die. At that point, I was thinking, hopefully not going to get thrown in jail for bringing this stuff back in. When you hit Mexico City, you get that rush of humidity. The plan was someone from the company was going to meet me at the airport. I was to give them the money. They were going to give me 5 vials of this anti-serum, and I was to head out. They held a sign up saying, Mr. Benji. And I went over to them right away, and they're constantly looking around because the police watch everyone in that airport pretty good. They had the 5 vials, and all I was thinking was, it's in an envelope, I want to put it in my backpack, and I want to go home. I walk to the gate, and my attention turns towards, is a security guard going to come up and stop me? Did some guard or someone see us do the exchange and wonder what was going on? Airport security varies from every country. What are they going to say when I've got these little liquid vials? Am I a terrorist? What? I was thinking, okay, what is our next option should I get busted at the airport with it? In Mexico City, not only do you go through the metal detectors, you go through another security and search right before you get on the plane. When they started calling the people up to board on the plane, the gal doing it, she's only said 2 lines. And one of those is, no liquids, no liquids. The other is, bag open. Then I get up to her, she says the same lines to me, so I open the bag up. She looks in, sticks her hand down in it. I thought, oh God, she's going to open this manila envelope that has all these vials in it. I said, this is it. I just thank God she never opened that envelope. She takes her hand out, says, go on. At that point, I was through one stage of the return trip. I knew if I got through the Dallas airport, we were home free. We're literally running out of time. I was thinking, okay, what is our next option should I make it to our customs in Dallas and I get stopped there? I was more worried they were going to search me because I'd flown down and back in a day. I was towards the end of it, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "Man, you look beat." And I said, "I am. I just want to go home and go to sleep." And he just stamped my thing and sent me on through. It's done. I'm on my way to Steamboat. Susie and I had that moment of relief, except that the only thing we know about this anti-venom is what the people in the airport have told us and what we've researched about it. Doctor still doesn't know how Mikey's going to react to it.
The procedure to inject the antivenom had to be done outside of the hospital.
The hospital had refused to have this drug on their grounds, let alone be administered on their grounds. The doctors own their offices in the other building. They don't own anything in the hospital. It's its own entity. And so they set the rules on that side of the wall. The doctor's assistant comes wheeling up a crash cart. And I was like, "Why are you bringing this?" And she goes, "Well, we don't take any chances." Susie and I looked at each other and she asked, "Are we doing the right thing?"
Thoughts go through your head like, well, how safe is this stuff really from a foreign country?
Mikey could, have permanent nerve damage any part of his body. How do we prevent it from happening? So, yeah, it was going through our mind that Mikey was, to us, in danger, in serious danger.
I hope to God that we have made the right decision.
He started injecting it into Mikey, and at that point it was a matter of waiting.
It was about 20-25 minutes went by, and my arm started tingling. And then it went slowly down into my lower back and my legs and everything.
Mikey's legs started quivering like a ripple effect, and you're like going, "What is that?"
Doctor said, "It's the neurotoxins releasing from your nerves. They're letting go."
I just vividly remember the pain just slowly going away.
Hour into it, he stood up.
They're just like, "Well, I don't think you can walk yet," but I'm just like, "No, I think I can."
And he walked 5 feet and said, "Does it hurt?" And Mike's like, "No, don't feel anything."
I just started into tears. It was amazing how fast, how thorough that stuff worked.
It's like nothing ever happened to him.
It felt like a bird released from a cage. I felt like I was becoming myself again.
Within an hour, he was discharged.
We had all of our family back again.
I said, "Thanks, Dad," and he's just like, "You don't need to say thanks to me. That's my job. I'm your dad. That's what I do." Since the fight, I'm back doing stuff that I normally do. I can tell you I check my socks every day.
This whole ordeal showed us as a family what can be accomplished when somebody really sets their mind to it.
I think I'm really special to have a dad like mine. For him to just be willing to go to Mexico, do all this stuff for me, Not many people have that type of a dad where they're willing to do that stuff for them.
It's that need to have the family unit. that need to keep the unit together and not have one part gone.